or good afternoon, everyone. Now is the time and the place for the Legal and Finance Committee. It is May 13th, 12:30 p.m. We would like to have a roll call and determination of quorum, please.
Drury.
Here.
Drew. Nordstrom.
Here.
Lehman.
Here.
Lewis.
Somewhere.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now if we could have a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Move to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Drew and a second by Lehman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, a roll call vote.
Drury.
Aye.
Drew. Aye. Nordstrom.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the motion passes. The agenda has been adopted. Now is the time and place for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. Seeing no public comment for consent items 1 through 12 is closed. Would the council like to remove any items from the consent calendar? Could you just raise your hand? I don't have anything. Darla? Items 6, 7, and 8. Are there any others? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar 1 through 11 with the exception of 6, 7, and 8. We have a motion by Lehman and a second by Nordstrom. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Drury.
Aye.
Drew. Aye. Nordstrom.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is approved. We now go to item number 6, would be authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign the community block grant for Working Against Violence, Inc. for fiscal year 2020. Hi, Michelle. Could you identify yourself? And you are actually have 3 items on this agenda, 6, 7, and 8. If you would like to give us a brief overview of all of them, that would be great.
Of course. Michelle Schulke, CDBG Program Division Manager. Item number 6 is a contract for Wavy, and that originally was a lower amount, but we received more money than we anticipated for fiscal year 20, and so that contract amount will be for just over $60,000. They're going to be replacing the windows at the domestic violence shelter. And number 7, this is an amended SF 424, really what HUD considers the contract for fiscal year 20. They have requested that we indicate that we have just over $50,000 in our revolving loan fund. This is something that's new, but this is for a neighborhood restoration loan program, direct loans to owner-occupied homes. And number 8, we do have CVs, so we do have some COVID-related CDBG money coming to Rapid City. And again, this is basically considered the contract for that money, the SF 424, 424D, and the certifications.
You stand.
Of course.
Move to approve 6, 7, and 8, and a question for Joel Lending.
Okay.
Joel, is there any problem with us just approving these all as a group?
No, I think that's fine.
I mean, since we have to go through a verbal roll call, I think just as a group for 6, 7, and 8. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion before we call the vote? Mr. Nordstrom,
Thank you. I have a question for Michelle, please.
go ahead.
Michelle, do you want to tell us the total amount that we've been reading about in the headlines and how this is going to be dispersed?
Of course, the CB funds is going to be $390,000. It's specifically related to prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19 activities.
Thank you. That's great. Good news. Thank you. I think
Okay.
the community can really use this. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the roll call vote now, please.
Drury,
Aye.
Drew. Nordstrom,
Aye.
Lehman,
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. We will now go on to non-consent items. Seeing no public comments, we will close public comments for non-consent. We next go to item number 12, which is the second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6294, an ordinance amending chapter 17.40 to revise permitted and conditional uses in the office commercial district. Darla Drew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for Ken Young, please.
Go right ahead.
So, Mr. Young, I know this is our second reading on this, but I just really started thinking about it, and I'd like to know what triggered this change? What made us think that this had to be an ordinance change to development in our area?
A couple of years ago, as we were doing a review of our land use plan and the zoning and how they were matching up, we noticed that there was a lot of applications and development that were occurring for residential development in the office commercial zone district. And as we studied it further, we determined that the problem, the leak, if you will, was in where we allow for multiple family housing in an office commercial district, normally to be applied in a mixed-use type of an arrangement. But the multiple family development has with it an associated conditional uses list that includes single-family houses. And so we were getting single-family houses being developed in an office commercial zone. So we decided that's probably not appropriate, and we ought to look at where that's occurring and how it could possibly occur into the future, and determine if indeed the demand for single-family housing is occurring in those areas, then we ought to change the zone to reflect that. And then other areas where we determined that's probably not an appropriate use, that we will maintain that zone, but we'll amend the uses list so that no longer can single-family homes be permitted in the office commercial district. So that's really what brought it forward. So we did have several properties that were affected based on that. We did have a couple of coffee with planners and a special public hearing where we invited all of the affected property owners and got their input at first, not saying we're going to do it, but we want to get your feel on how you think your property is going to develop or how you would like to see it zoned. So we got a lot of feedback and information from that. And from that, we brought forward this ordinance proposal, and it's being followed up soon with some zone changes that will reflect this.
And so for the multi-use, just single-family homes and office space isn't considered multiple use. It has to have the apartment component as well to be considered multiple use. Is that correct?
No, there is an opportunity for multifamily development to occur on its own in the office commercial zoning. But what we were trying to prevent was to allow it to become single-family homes without any other provision.
And mainly because of safety factors with where these properties are located, like they're on Main
Appropriate
Street?
zoning. So say it's on a busy corridor on a corner lot or whatever, determining because it could be safety, but it could be also appropriate adjacent uses. Just trying to, you know, putting on our best practices zoning glasses on to view where is development occurring, how is it occurring, and what is the best way for that to occur. And so and we've been doing this over the last few years, just kind of reviewing our zoning, reviewing our land use plan, and just trying to clean up a few things where we feel like it's kind of out of line.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
We have a motion to approve by Lehman and a second by Nordstrom. Roll call vote, please.
Drury,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Nordstrom,
Aye.
Lehman,
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and the motion carries. We will go now to under City Attorney's Office, number 13, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6424, an emergency ordinance extending the date by which the city can implement measures necessary to slow the community spread of coronavirus COVID-19.
Yeah.
Darla Drew.
I move this to council without recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion to move it to council without recommendation. Mr. Nordstrom, do you have a question?
I just wanted to make sure I understood your comment earlier about Joel making a recommendation for us, or does Joel
I
have
have a question for Mr. Landy.
Yes, did you?
Okay.
Yep. I think just a brief explanation of what's taking place and what is transpiring here with these two ordinances, or excuse me, ordinance and resolution.
Well, the ordinance will allow you to implement regulations through the end of July. I think right now the peak is predicted for sometime in early June, so just to make sure that we have the ability. It doesn't actually require you to impose any restrictions. It just gives you the ability essentially to act quickly if the situation changes. The resolution number 14 is to make sure that the current regulations go through the end of the original ordinance so that you don't have a situation where that expires May 31st and then you have a week where the ordinance, the original emergency ordinance, is still in effect. So essentially, you would have to close the businesses again because what's allowing them to stay open is the changes you made in the resolution. So it would sync up the resolution with the current ordinance. Now, if you ultimately approve second reading of number 13, which extends the ordinance through July, then you will probably, and what I will do is I'll bring back a second resolution along with second reading so that we can address the regulations through either the end of July or June or however long you want to extend regulations. And if you want to tweak them a little, we can do that via resolution, and that'll go along with second reading. That meeting would be June 1st.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion by Drew and a second by Nordstrom. Roll call vote, please.
Drury,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Nordstrom,
Aye.
Lehman,
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Motion
And the
carries.
motion passes. Thank you. We'll go on to item 14, approve resolution number 2020-037, an emergency resolution extending resolution number 2020-034. Second. Okay, we have a motion to move that to council without recommendation by Lehman and a second by Drew. Is there any other comments? If not, roll call vote, please.
Drury,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Nordstrom,
Aye.
Lehman,
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the motion passes. Thank you. Are there any objections to being adjourned? If not, we have a city council meeting Monday night. Be sure and get your comments in by noon, no later than noon on Monday. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We are adjourned.